So this came off of a run, starting with an aesthetic produced by Divine Abstract. And then you could say the first phase of that run ends with Fantasy produced by El Khalil. In between that, we had Overdraft and Yolanda's Score, which Overdraft is a mixtape, which you might could find if you really want to. And Yolanda's Score is produced by Free Spody. So, and these are all just close friends around the city that we've, linked and have common interests, and we're able to work together. So Fantasy is an extension of that. And I basically hit up Khalil. I said, yo, let's set something up. I'm gonna pull up on you. Let's go through some beats. Let's try to do an EP. And we went through, looked through these beats. We got 5 picked out. And I went back and I handled the songwriting side of it, try to pull a song about those. And a lot of the times, I'm not even gonna lie, the beat will just straight up give you the song. Like, on track 5, Get Along, literally when he sent me that beat, it was called Get Along Better. It was already called Get Along Better, and I was like, okay. And then, it just kind of wrote itself, so it's always a blessing when something like that happens. Sometimes I have to sit and listen to the song and try to find where the topic is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I'll say about it.
Do you feel like it was like that for all 5 of the tracks? That they just kind of came to you like that?
For, let's say, 3 of them, the concepts came pretty easily. Actually, no, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta say 4 now. Nah, Khalil be having some good names for his beats. He said that joint with the perfect name. You're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Run from there, because if I go through what the beats were called, and I'm gonna go in order on the track list.
Okay.
So, Eugene and Eric.
It's an interesting storytelling track.
Yeah, so that one, the beat was called Generic 2K Lo-Fi. So I'm sitting there looking at that, and we come from a more avant-garde perspective most of the time. So us being on a classic boom bap trap is something that's like a little rarer for us. Mm. So I'm looking at the word generic and I'm kind of playing with it, and I figured this might be the way that we could get the Il Khalil feature onto the tape, because I try to get a feature with the producer, for all the tapes on this run. You'll see that. So I hit Khalil up. I'm like, hey man, I think I got an idea. Playing with the word generic. Think about eugenics for some reason. Eugene and Eric. Generic. So we came up with the concept as 2 brothers. Generics, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And one's more along the straight and narrow path, mm-hmm. the classic family man path. The other one's more of a world traveler, eccentric type, but they come back together, you know what I'm saying, and find that common ground. They're still brothers. So Eugene and Eric is a fun one. 2 from 90. Literally, that beat was called 88. Just 88. And
I got you.
So if you do 88, that's 2 from 90. There's also 88 keys in the piano. So you have, I kind of took that, started playing with some metaphors there. Work Denim. I remember all the names for these beats because they literally. Now I think about it, he gave me each one of these songs straight up. Work Denim. It's called Blue Rawls. You got your blue mm-hmm. overalls. Perfect. Phantasmagorical. The beat was called Phantasy. So the Phantasmagorical was a bit of an extension of a fantasy.
But it fits. It fits with the whole concept of the EP and the sound that it gives, right?
It ended up, that was, as soon as I got that, I was like, oh, this is the one. This is it.
Yeah, and it's like, it felt like, the whole thing felt like shamanistic in a way. It feels like ethereal in that sense, right? But especially when I got to track 4 as well, I was just like, oh, there's a different type of density to this project. That, like, did you perform these tracks when you had the showcase?
At For Keeps?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did definitely did Phantasmagorical and Get Along there. Yeah.
It's so wild, like, it was great seeing you perform, but hearing it, like, getting to sit with it, I was able to, like, ingest it a whole different way.
Oh, wow.
Like, where I was just like, wow, I didn't catch this stuff in the live performance. Like,
Word.
I was like, this is, like, very philosophical. Like, I don't know.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, we try to have fun with it, but we definitely,
It's
we out here
inevitable.
tackling concepts.
It's very apparent, yeah. I love it.
So, yeah, Phantasmagorical. Literally, the moment I said the word, I don't even think I tried to say it any kind of way. It just fit perfectly with the beat, you know. And so we just ran from there. And then Get Along, like I said, it was already called Get Along Better. So, you know, it's tough to tackle those emotional concepts for me. Like, I have a harder time diving into that. I try to keep things lighthearted, you know. But I do appreciate the fact that, you know, a song like Get Along was able, like, I appreciate Khalil, you know, shouts out to Il Khalil, the God, you know what I'm saying, for being able to help me access some of those thoughts and emotions.
Yeah. And that kind of like, that made me think about like, what were your thoughts and emotions that catalyzed this creation?
So it came at an interesting time. It was where I didn't have a way to record at the time. So I ended up. Wait, actually, no. This is slightly before that. It's slightly before that. So I've gone through a lot of periods where I don't have ways to record, and I'll be just like a lot of downtime.
What do you mean by that? You don't have a way to record?
Like, I don't have a studio space I can set up. I don't have, like, there have been times I didn't have proper electricity to get things going. So just in between situations. But then even outside of that, there's the flip side of where we've had access to dedicated studio spaces. So it's definitely an ebb and flow, and it's been interesting. I appreciate that. It's like it forces me to sit down. So this was right before another one of those moments came up, and I was actually going back to New York for the first time, which is that's where I was born. I was born in New York.
Okay.
So you probably, you know, the influences there, you're gonna hear it. That's why, you know, the hip hop is just in me. Yes. You know. So I got to go back to New York for the first time in over a decade. And when I got there, I was, you know, went by myself, got myself an Airbnb, because actually I was supposed to stay with my aunt, but then that ain't ended up working out, so I had to get the Airbnb, you know. Got the Airbnb, and I'm, you know, just in the city by myself as an adult, seeing it in a different way. And I got to link with some of my old friends from when I was a toddler, and I'm writing. And I'm up there, and I'm writing. That's where I wrote Worked in Them, finished up 2 from 90, and by the time I got back, I had all the lyrics done and the songs was done. So sometimes at that point, I was like, I'm going to just write everything and then record everything. So I got back, it's around the New Year, record everything, and I think I got everything done by like February or March. And this is in 2022 at that point.
Okay.
So finished that up. I actually dropped Phantasmagorical a year before I dropped the rest of the tape.
Right.
So I had Phantasmagorical. That's the you could say like the one single that's out everywhere. That's out on all streaming services. And you know, it was kind of like a real plateau moment where it's like you made it over the ledge to a new level, because coming back from New York, having that rekindling of touching base with my brother, who's like, I'm talking toddler age, and then we ain't seen each other in a decade. Get back, it's like nothing ever happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just like experiences like that. I performed. I went to an open mic while I was up there. It's the same open mic they've been doing for 20 years. I was doing this when I was a toddler. My parents performed there. All these things. So it's like all these layers kind of set in, and that Phantasy, to me, it kind of solidified me being able to tackle a topic within a song, and I feel like since then it's been a little easier to reach that space. So it's definitely a monumental moment, I feel, and even more so when you add in that it lines up with the same time learning about pressing vinyl records, and it ends up being the first vinyl record we made. So definitely a very potent project in the journey. Yeah. I definitely feel that way.
It's a mile marker.
Yeah.
So then, what can you tell me about? How would you describe your sound?
So I actually started making music as a jazz fusion artist who didn't want to be classified as a jazz fusion artist. So I wanted to make music that extended beyond jazz fusion, because jazz fusion is often boxed in and sort of lumped in with rock. So it's like you got jazz fusion and progressive rock, and they're kind of siblings. It's a great thing, amazing music. I love it. I always love some good jazz fusion. But I didn't like how jazz fusion ended up being sort of pigeonholed into a specific space of instrumental music, because some of the forefathers of jazz fusion, and there's so much overlap between jazz fusion and progressive rock. So some of the forefathers of that, it's early on, it's lyrical music. It's developed out of the funk and bebop. It's in between there. So seeing how the industry takes stuff and kind of morphs it and specializes genres, I said I got to come up with something new, and I decided I was going to be a bluesian artist, which is blues fusion. So that's my whole musical journey started there. I was like, nah, I'm gonna make whatever kind of music I want to make. I'm gonna put it all together. It's gonna be called bluesian. So I did that for probably right after I get out of high school. In between that and playing in different bands, I played drums in a lot of bands with a lot of different artists around the city.
Do you still?
Not as much right now. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of more focused on my solo career and my musical catalog and developing that.
Okay.
So at the time, I think it got to a point I was in 4 or 5 bands at once, and it gets overwhelming, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Were you playing more than drums in them?
In my band, my bluesian band, Clear Blue Audience, I actually led the band on bass.
Wow.
So, my first album I made out of high school, I was playing all the instruments, and that's how I started making music. The second album I made, I produced in Ableton. So this is, it's all kind of dictated by the space of the setup.
Yeah.
A lot of time, that plays a large part. What tools I have to create the music. So after that, I got Ableton, a copy of Ableton for my friend, like a cracked version of Ableton. Ableton's expensive. And I was using that, learning that, ended up producing a project that was called Akete and the Clear Blue Audience. So it's kind of in between there. After that, I had one more Clear Blue Audience project before my first time having no way to record was thrust upon me, you know? So it was like I ended up breaking my interface in like a crazy accident. Probably could have been a little calmer. That's a story for another day. Yeah, so break the interface, and I'm like, dang. I ain't have enough disposable income to be like, let me go get another one. Nope. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Some months go by, I open up my laptop and start trying to produce just with the laptop keyboard, and you know, I think I had a MIDI keyboard I found, and I was like, shoot, this is how we doing it. We, you know, straight out the off the laptop, ended up learning how to make beats. And through that process, let me not say learning how to make beats, because, you know, let me preface that by saying I come from a musical background. Like, I've always been around music. My parents were in a band together when I was born. Like, I've been on stage with them up in, you know, in my toddler years this whole time. So I've always been around music. And even when I was younger, like, I remember when we go to New York to visit our pops, he'd have GarageBand on the computer. So me and my cousins up there, we mess around on GarageBand making beats. You know, I remember one dope moment when we found the drum loop from Umbrella, like the, you know, Rihanna Jay-Z joint. We found that in GarageBand. We was like, what? Oh my gosh, they using GarageBand. It's crazy. So yeah, I've always been around it. It's just as I got more into, you know, practicing live drums and doing that, I kind of was definitely more focused on that. Like, I even remember thinking, like, I was anti. You know, I got to the point of being anti. I went so far the other direction. Yeah. So being kind of forced to sit down and come back to, like, solo production in that way, that's where we get the project called The X-Files, which I dedicated to Malcolm X. Ended up using like some quotes from his speeches on there, by any means necessary, which actually, now that I think about it, that makes even more sense than I thought about like back then, because it was kind of by any means necessary. So yeah, we get the X-Files out, and then from there, over this whole time, I had been able to record with the homie Dev, Divine Abstract. So he, like, the reason I'm rapping for real, 74+% Divine Abstract. You know what I'm saying? Like, he sending me beats, you know, making sure we link up. And we also would do jazz jams too. Like, he pull up to my place, we jam in the basement. Me, him, Riot Oblivion, the homie Nick, a bunch of friends. That used to be the spot. We used to jam in the basement at the house. So over that time, we're recording tracks for an aesthetic, and it's just like slowly been building up. Oh, this beat. Okay, this is dope. Woo, woo. And around the same time, after I dropped the X-Files, this is 2020 now. We've made it into 2020, and we dropped the X-Files. Now it's a lockdown. I had to go figure out work. You know, my whole work done shut down. I had to go. I ended up going to California. And then by the end of me being out in California, towards the end of 2020, I hear about a studio in Atlanta that was available for rent at the goat farm. So come back to Atlanta, run up there like, hey, it's available, see the studio. It's got a vocal booth with a double door glass room that the person before built, and you know, they ain't charging double door with the glass booth, but the person before built numbers. I'm like, oh, how much it costs? What? Oh, run it. You know, like, so yeah, we ended up having a studio at the goat farm. And when I moved in there, they were like, yeah, we're about to renovate in February. So this is in January. I'm like, all right, whatever, a month. I'm gonna still get some work done. This is a cool studio, you know? Get in there. They kept pushing back renovations. So the first couple months, I'm just in there about, I ain't want to invite too many people because, you know, it's about to be gone. Let me just do what I, try to get a couple things done. Yeah. And then they keep telling me they're pushing it back. We start doing something called Tap In Tuesdays. I'm gonna say that story for another day. It's so much. So we did Tap In Tuesdays we ended up being at the goat farm for about a full year. That goes by. So much music. Overdraft comes out of that, postmark. An Aesthetic is finished up. Yolanda's Score. Actually, not Yolanda's Score. Just An Aesthetic and Overdraft. And then some unreleased music that I'm still working on getting out. So after that, another one of those periods where there's not much, I don't have a specific way to record. Go a few months in that way.
You ended up leaving the goat farm.
Yeah, they ended up doing their renovations that they were supposed to do. Yeah, so we ended up getting a full year there, so they didn't do it till like the next February. So that was a blessing in and of itself. Did so much great stuff, made a lot of great connections, a lot of great memories. And then from there, that's kind of when the seeds of the Nubian Collective kind of were sown around that time. So at that same time, I go into another one of my phases. I didn't have a way to record. Still hella inspired off of it though, so I'm like, what can we do? Get the beats for Yolanda's Score. Get the beats for Phantasy. Actually did an Aesthetic Part 2. So what you have is called Epistrophe, which I'm doing a re-release on 420 this year.
Epistrophe, what is that?
It's so Epis is a Haitian like sofrito that's made with it's like all their spices. They mix it up, peppers, spices, all that, and they throw it on everything. Makes it taste delicious. A trophy, we know what a trophy is, right? So I like to play with words and do a lot of compound meanings. So epistrophe is also repetition. So it's like you can repeat something to the point of epistrophe. Epistrophe is a song that I love by Thelonious Monk, one of my favorites. And it's also, we're doing a second An Aesthetic. So Dev used to have this folder of beats that was just sitting there, and like you keep adding beats, like 100 beats in here. And he's like, yeah, I just put the thing there, and like if people want it, I'm like, all right, bet. I let it sit for a while, and then I was like, nah, I'm gonna have to take some of these, bro. Right? So I let him know. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take this one, and then he's like, well, just not that one, just not that. I'm like, okay, bet. Epistrophe. So that whole time right after the goat farm, which we call Ancient Future Studios, that whole time after that was where Yolanda's Score, Epistrophe, and Phantasy were created. And I ended up recording those like right behind my bed. I like threw up some of the foam panels I have in the studio and like put the mic in there, and I was like, all right, this will work. Boom. We recorded all that there. Yeah, and I think that kind of tells fills in the story, but it's definitely been a lot of steps in the process,
So like those moments where you're without recording, how do you get through those moments? What does that look like?
Fortunately, I've never felt like I need to record. Like I can go sit down and play drums for a couple hours, and I'll be like musically fulfilled. So during those times, I kind of get by just playing drums, or picking up the bass and just kind of playing. And yeah, so I don't feel like it never gets that bad, but it's like the recording part, like the documentation isn't there a lot of times. So the ideas are coming, and I might just have to set them aside, and they just kind of build up,
Marinate a little bit.
Yeah, and I got no problem marinating. Like if I got an idea, I'll be like, oh, that's it, that's the song. And if it's good, I remember it, then that's really the song. But if I go away, I forget it, that might not have been it. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely try to take my time. I'm starting to work on doing stuff immediately. You know, like yesterday I had an idea to do a freestyle.
I saw you put that on over Akete.
Yeah, and I was like,
that's the same one?
Yeah, I'm gonna just do it and drop it today. Like I woke up and I was like, I think we was listening to Graduation. So shout out Kanye. Listening to that, I hear Champion. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I love this album, man. Steely Dan, they're great. You know, so I go outside, I think of the other song, which I end up flipping and doing freestyle over. And took some inspiration from Aries Full Moon, who definitely is a proponent of this and has inspired me with her thoughts on it. Of just, expressing and just sharing the art. So, took a little extra push from that, and I was like, nah, dude, put the track out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, finding that balance. I think there's so many great ways that amazing things get made, and there's no reason to force any one type of way,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, I'm forgetting what song it's from, but the lyric where you're just all like, basically you're saying just put it out. It doesn't have to be like profound.
Oh no, that's in Get Along.
Yeah. And I was like, it seems like you don't apply that type of unnecessary pressure to your artistry.
Yeah, I try not to. Like, I do my best when I record it. I try to satisfy myself and feel like I've done my best, and then I step away from it and know that was that time and place. Like, it's rare that I'll attempt to re-record something or something like that. And even that was something I tried to do with my first album, with playing all the live instruments. I recorded the first one on my iPad in GarageBand with this little mic that plugged into the headphone jack. And I tried to re-record those songs 2 more times, and they never came out sounding quite as good. Like, it didn't have the same emotion. It didn't have the same. There was something about the quality of it being recorded on that iPad that it was like it was meant to be recorded that way,
Yeah.
So I feel like the art happens as it's meant to, and you have to allow yourself to let the art create itself. Like, there's a balance between you deciding to create art and just creating art. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit of both. And it's something that I try not to think about it. I try not to think about it. If the thought comes, then you take it from there.
Yeah. You can definitely create your own obstacles, I feel like, with too much pressure. Unnecessary. Of Phantasy, what would you say was the most challenging track to make?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm second place. Work denim. It was cold. I was really standing on the stoop, in my blue Rawls, writing this shit. Like, I was really sitting on the stoop, sipping a brew. It's cold outside. I'm trying to, smoke my little whoopie, you know what I'm saying, and write some lyrics.
Yeah.
It was cold. That was kind of hard. But Get Along.
You were out east at that time.
Yeah, I was in New York. I'm writing this. It's icy. So Get Along, definitely. Like, that's without question though. Like, I probably shed a couple tears trying to do Get Along. Like that.
So emotionally, but the other one was more physically.
Yeah. Right.
What was it about Get Along?
Just trying to do my best to speak to common experiences. Like I talk about, having arguments with your significant other, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something I'm sure everybody gonna go through in life at one point. So it's like trying to understand the struggles that we go through. You don't go through them alone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and even like that's something I noticed, like performing that song, like it really resonates. You know, like even more than some of my other, than a lot of my other songs. You know, because you know I don't tend to usually tackle heavier topics like that. So I feel like it definitely found a sincere way to tackle some heavy topics, you know.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite tracks. I think because of the vulnerability aspects. I mean, it's all vulnerable in its own way. Yeah. But the emotional aspect, I was like, oh.
Right, I'm not like Stone Giant. Yeah,
I don't think you are, but you definitely come off reserved when it comes to emotional things.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
definitely.
So I was like, oh wow, little like.
Shouts out to Khalil.
I love that. I don't know if I asked this in this way, but did you have a particular intention with creating this? Were you like 5 songs?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. I did start off and say it was going to be an EP. Because I want to do more of these EPs, especially now knowing learning more about a 7-inch record, you know, and knowing that that's even something that's possible to do. So that just it's a fun concept to try to keep the project shorter and concise, and it's a nice balance between like going the full TikTok music route, where it's like I'm just gonna make a 1-minute song. It's like it's not a 1-minute song, but it's a 10-minute listen. You know, it's something you can kind of just mix in wherever you can see it, check it out real quick. You don't have to like set a full time aside to do it. It's something you take a little break and oh cool, let me check this out. You know, you can do it on your break from work. You get a 15-minute break at work. You know, it's like
but definitely like depending on the listener. It's not a quick listen still. Although it is only 10 minutes, there's a lot of depths and layers to it.
Oh, always.
You know?
Always. Yeah. And hopefully it is something that like people would want to like run back and cuz I can't wait for the day that they looking at you know, I'm not even going to just say just my lyrics cuz it's so many of my peers that I respect that are, you know, y'all don't know them yet, but you're going to. like that folks is digging through our lyrics like, oh, that's what that means, and it's like, cause they'll say some stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's what that means, and it's over and over. It's like, there's a lot of folks have a full deck for show, but they only showing you like 4 or 5 cards at a time, you know, so. Always understanding that and like, you know, hopefully people want to keep flipping through the deck.
No, I was real grateful you put the lyrics up with the project because I'm a reader, so I guess I need to read through this too.
No, for real. No, I have one of my close friends. I have a couple friends who said this to me, and they make music too. So that surprised me to hear like their perspective on lyrics, like that. It takes them a few listens like for the lyrics to like stand out as words. Like a lot of folks hear lyrics as a melody, you know, and it'll come out and like it just is a part of the song. If it sounds good, but they might not be catching every single, you know, word that's going on. I even noticed there's a lot of music I'm you know. Lately, I've been pretty good about it, but there's some songs that come on and I'm like, oh, it's rocking, but I don't know what they're saying, you know?
yeah, that happens a lot.
Word.
No, I'm definitely the type that lyrics mean the most to me, I think. I think it's very, especially when it comes to like, I know that you're a multi-hyphenate genre, if there's even a genre for what you do, right? But in terms of what you do in the hip hop realm, like to me, I just feel like you said, there's so many songs where we don't know what's being said that like, lyrics are always the most important thing to me. Like whatever I am propping up and being like, yo, this is great, this is recommended, like it has to actually have good lyrical
like
content.
I feel that.
I'm not gonna put out some stuff that's self-destructive towards us. Like,
oh no, definitely.
I mean, of course, there's some things that really make us dance, and that's just as important. But I think for this era that we're in, the lyrical content is paramount.
And that's what I'm searching for, is that balance between like having the lyrical content and still being able to dance to it.
Yeah.
So, like, because I started experimenting with like house music and electronic. That kind of started with the X-Files, where I kind of, started learning. I do like house beats. House beats are cool, so I started experimenting with that a little more. And trying to find that balance. Like I used to look at a house beat and it would seem like so hard to add lyrics to it. Like I don't see how, like where's this gonna fit? And now as I've done some attempts and practice with it and just sort of marinate on the idea, like I'm starting to get there. We're gonna be able to make them dance too. We make them dance. We make them think. Trying to take them on a journey.
Back to the 70s, 80s feel.
Right. Real disco. Like
You have a good time, but we put this good knowledge in there.
Right.
No, that's cool. How did you get connected with Swiss Army Records and that collective?
Yeah. So Swiss Army been rocking for a while, and I didn't even like officially tap in until, let's say, probably over the last year. Yeah, probably only over the last
really?
year.
Is that recent?
Yeah, like me and Promise had met a few times here and there. Been at similar shows at similar spaces, and just never fully got to like sit and chop it up for real.
Yeah.
So I always remember the homie Dev, cause he was early on with Swiss Army. Like he had been locked in with them early. And he would always tell me, yeah, the homies Swiss Army, yeah, woo, Cheba, Promise, woo, they doing this. And I'd be like, oh yeah, bro, that's cool. Yeah, bro, that's cool. What you doing with this beat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just kind of in my own land, So as the time went on more and more, and I didn't meet Cheba until like, literally, I got to give props to Spo for this, man. Shouts out Free Spody. This man is a real, genuine soul. Like, for real. This man just very embracing, and he managed to like kind of bring folks together in a way that it hadn't been before. Mm. So like that was my first time getting to meet Cheva, was pulling up to a session at Spo's place, and got Cheva in there. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been how I met Khalil too, and then ended up later on being like, oh yo, you got some extra beats, and then now we got Phantasy. So yeah, so when I finally met Cheva, put a face to the name of the music, cause they got him and Promise. They got a series called Talia B.
Yeah.
Which is gas. Like I love that one. I love Talia B. That shit is great. Like that was the track that Dev showed me when he's like, yeah, this homies. I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And then I actually go listen to it. So meeting Cheva, he's seeing the type of person, you know what I'm saying, and then putting that with the music, and then now diving more into the catalog since I done actually met folks in person now, and just gaining a new respect for these folks. Like Promise, meeting him, working with him, and seeing like how much his hands are in so many different places of creativity. Like I wouldn't have known he was like that much on the camera, but then also that much on the visual art in general. You know,
humble about it.
Yeah,
but you don't have to be.
And like it's the point. He's so far doing like so many things that it's like it'd be like, hey bro, you got a beat, and then be like real quick, and then you get like 2 minutes of a beat, and be like, yeah, all right. But I was also doing this, you're like just like so much dope stuff going on. And so yeah, working with everybody in Swiss Army and seeing like the overlap, like even One Love, like with Love Village over there.
Yeah.
Like I love what they do. That's like so dope to see folks having a residency, keeping it consistent, being out there, so the community. So we got somewhere to go. Like shouts out to them, shouts out to Oxygen, Controllerize, all our hip hop institutions, Soul Food Cypher, like shouts out to everybody in Atlanta holding it down for real. Shoot.
It's a lot of good stuff out
it's a lot of good stuff, right? And it's like you wouldn't even think because, our mainstream is so it's so different from what a lot of what's actually going on in the city. Like
that's why I love it here. The independent underground scene is a lot of it is untapped. Yeah. But it's so diverse.
Right. Nah, that is. It's like
it's a majority more so to me. Like when I'm in the city and going to like events looking for things to do, it's like it's really the underground.
Right. It's all local stuff. Cause besides like Atlanta doesn't have a lot of venues. We have like State Farm, Mercedes-Benz, like arenas, and then we have below that we have like the Buckhead Theater, Coca-Cola Roxy, and then like Tabernacle. Yeah. And then everything else is like local. Our folks renting out a venue, throwing an event, they finding a spot, we finding a spot. Like there's not the same kind of like bar music scene that a lot of these other cities have, because Atlanta's kind of like in between being one of the most major cities in the world to where like Live Nation has like lots of stock here. Like if you're doing it, the major artist doing a big tour, they're probably hitting Atlanta. It's like, so our musical scene kind of like it thrives off of that because we get a lot of mainstream looks. A lot of industry money is funneled through Atlanta. But that led to like a majority focus on that, what I'm saying? Which is unavoidable. What I'm saying? Like that's the nature of the beast. What's great about Atlanta is it still manages to pump out so much unique, diverse music. Yeah. And it's just an honor to be a part of it. I'm not sure if I answered the question there.
You did?
Yeah.
You definitely did. Are you part of, besides like being connected to like Swiss Army, Nubian, and things like that, which is they're connected anyways, right? Is there any other collectives you're part of out here? Or out east really too?
I used to be more actively involved in the woods. I work with literally my father's label, Rally Up Music.
Oh wow.
It's a reggae label.
What?
So, yeah.
You have reggae roots.
Oh yeah.
Where are your folks from?
Like Bingy. So I got Caribbean family in St. Croix. So that's actually just got to see them recently. So I was able to get a week down there away from the cold. It was amazing.
That's where he was at there.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that was good. Got to see family. I'd seen him probably a couple years. Yeah. So like I'm named after the Rastafarian ritual drum. The Akete drum is the center, the lead drum, the talking drum that plays the melody over it. So yeah,
it's so symbolic.
Big roots Rasta reggae ting,
That's so cool. That is way too cool.
Yeah,
wow, so your dad has a label.
Yeah. I actually we just did another song that came out nice. It's got a real like a Afrobeat soca vibe. Like I do production with him, so like he'll send me tracks if he wants some like synth lines or like hey add some here, maybe a bass line, or like really he like send beats. So I try to make some beats and like send beats. So I'll send a beat to my pops and then he'll arrange it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? And add it and then we get the artists on there. So yeah, there's always something musically going on. Like I'm always doing something.
That's really beautiful.
Where yeah, it's been dope. Like they've been going for like probably about 6-7 years now.
That's
and
amazing.
and it has some like probably about 15 artists, 15 plus artists, because it's artists that came and only done a couple songs, but it's like 10 artists that are just like consistently with the team. He produces for them, he mixed them, he helped them record, he might engineer them, you know.
That's really cool. You really come from it.
Oh yeah. My mom was performing while I was in her belly, like she was up there singing. Yeah.
Really cool. That's I have no other words for you. This is all making it adds so much context to the project.
Yeah.
And also just like you as an artist.
Word. Cause I be wondering, like that's something I do like wonder if like, cause it's so much to try to condense, and it's something I have like actively tried to condense, you know, so that it could be reasonable and approachable, you know, like, cause I'm knowing I want to make all kinds of different music, and you know, shouts out to people who have kind of helped pave the way for stuff like that, because you know, that's something I know is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
You know, getting into it, like people, it's easier to latch to a brand, or not to say latch to a brand. It's easier to sell something that is specific, you know, so that way they know what it is, they can know if they want it. But with the way I'm making music, I'm kind of trying to convey, it is my philosophy, you know. It's kind of like I just try to make sure my philosophy is understood and woven into the music, so that way, whatever kind of music it ends up being, it's gonna have that same uniqueness. It's gonna have my specific touch on there, which is a lot of times about the funk. If we're gonna take, it's about the funk. It's trying to make y'all move, like for real, like, you know, even if it's, you know, we moving every part, we try to get it flowing, you know, like it's, yeah.
This is good. You have anything else you want to say?
Shoot. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.